Hello everyone, welcome to this short tea break session. Gives you the opportunity to see something or some support, something on offer from Pearson. Myself and Mal will talk through a different element of what's on offer from Pearson on each of these different sessions. And today we're going to look at the bronze, silver, gold award papers, what they are and how we use them.
Hi everyone. So essentially these are papers that are taken from an official exam sitting that have got scaffolding added in for the bronze and the silver level, and then the gold paper is essentially the original paper that would have been sat in that sitting. So you'll see them in the cabinets. They're available for most of the past sittings of the new GCSE, and they've got these little medallions on the front that show you that they're either the bronze, the silver or the gold. Obviously, most of you don't have the colour printing, so they'll just all be black and white, so the colours are relevant. So this is the question 11 from the summer 22 papers, and that's the gold question. Then that's what the bronze paper looked like and what the silver question looked like.
You've got the gold and the bronze at the two extremes on your screen, and then the middle, the silver. The gold, essentially the paper as it was, and then the bronze top left. The numbers have changed slightly. Does that happen every time, Mal, or just it's not always that the numbers change? It's just making the structure or the emphasis of the question not as difficult as the gold. Is that right?
Yeah, so sometimes the question has been scaffolding, just pure scaffolding. So the steps have been introduced. And then sometimes the calculations, the numbers, the sums, for want of a better phrase, have been changed to make it easier. And I actually quite like them because I think it's aimed at those students, specifically at the back end of foundation, where they won't even attempt it, and just showing them the steps does help a little bit. So I've got a couple of other examples for you. So that was, like I say, from foundation paper 1. Also on foundation paper 1 was this.
This is silver, exactly the same as the gold, isn't it?
Yeah. How else could you scaffold a simple reflection? Apart from giving a line, there's not a lot else you can do, is there? So there are restrictions on what you're able to do. And then we've got, I thought I'd have a look at the higher question. This is a 5-mark question. So question 3 from paper 3. What I'd say is you might have a different method of splitting the steps, and you'll see the scaffolding there on the bronze paper. I split it down into 8 steps, and then the silver version. And then we've got an angle question, so an angle chasing question from foundation paper 3 as well, that shows those steps. Again, I chose a topic there that students, it's the reasoning question of giving them the reasons they struggle with, isn't it?
We've used them now when we've gone through and done the review of the exam paper that the students have sat for that sit-in. So whether it be in a mock, and in my head, I remember the year 10 group we did it with, and we particularly, it was their first time on the higher paper and seeing a higher paper. And we went back and really looked at the bronze paper for that sit-in. I can't remember now what sit-in it was, but that was when we utilised it, and it really worked well, didn't it, with those students and nurturing them. They've seen the paper of what it's like, they've had the problems, and then we had the great discussions with the bronze paper up on the board, taking them through the steps of particularly the questions that they didn't do that we thought that they could do better. But I suppose you can just dip into these to find particular topic areas you want to revise, or be around a mock or an exam paper.
Yeah, I think looking through them, and it does take some time, but when you're using a specific exam question in your teaching anyway, it's worth having a look to see if there's a bronze version or a silver version that you might want to use instead. And it depends on your groups, because for some students showing, so if I go back to that previous one, so your lower end of your higher tier, they might find that kind of question quite difficult knowing how to access it. But giving them the steps as a first step, and then if you were really organised, this has always been my pipe dream. If I was really organised, I would find a bronze version of a topic that I'm teaching when they're back in year 10 and give them that as homework. And then interleaving that, I'd give them the same question, the silver version, some months later to see if they could still do it, but with less scaffolding.
Someone's told us before of how they, within the class, having the bronze, silver, gold of a particular question ready, and different groups of students in the same class working on the different ones, and then bringing it all back together at the end and discuss the actual question, but also how it makes the gold version or the original GCSE question. So within the class, within different pockets of groups, but all three of them on the go at the same time. But again, a bit of organisation prior to get that set up, I suppose. But the fact that they're there on, like Mal said, a load of the different sit-ins, but within several questions of higher and foundation, to really give that nurture support with some, a bit of scaffolding for others, but then obviously throwing others straight in at the deep end with what the question would look like. You've got the option there.
Yeah. Well, somebody else I spoke to said they use it when they're high retaining students are in year 10, showing them the bronze and silver, and then as they're going into year 11, asking them to write bronze and silver versions of the gold question that they've just done. So they're having to unpick what steps they did, because sometimes the high retaining students just do it and don't quite understand what the steps that they're doing. They're just doing the maths, which I thought was quite nice. It's not something I do all the time because it's time in lessons now and time's crucial. And again, it's about finding an activity for the right group of students, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But they're all in the Emporium, just finding the correct drawer where they're in. I think that's one where you've got the two extremes there, haven't you? The gold versus the bronze. Brill. As always, any questions, drop us an email. We're here to help at any point. Have a great day. Cheers.
Thanks. Bye.